I'm Woden. JD and I, along with a few people helping along the way, including Brun, have created our version of Decked Out on the Grown Up Gamer server this season. You may have seen the original version done by Tango on the Hermitcraft server. Ours is pretty similar, and our initial opening is coming up soon, so I wanted to film this video with Brun to help people to understand how it works. It can be a bit daunting if you try and take it all in at once. First and foremost, it is a game about going into the dungeon with nothing but a compass to help you find an artifact and get out alive. That is your main goal. Along the way, you may find a number of other things that will help you go deeper later on. Here are examples of some of those. First off, sweet berries. You'll find sweet berries hidden around the dungeon. These are your only source of food. Please make sure to right-click the berry bushes and so they can grow back for everyone to use. If an accident happens, just please replant them. Next up, you'll find treasure. These include crowns, coins, and faction gems. So crowns are used in the store that anyone can get to at any time outside the game. Coins, these automatically convert to crowns at a 4-to-1 ratio when you're done with the run. You really don't need to think of them as anything but a quarter of a crown. And faction rep gems. These are used to show your chosen faction that you are helping them win. You'll be turning these in to me to improve your faction rank. Your faction rank is used later on to open up special things down the road. Just know that the higher your rank, the better off you are. Next up is embers. Frost embers will also be found in the dungeon, but they have their own special section. They will also be given to you based on the value of the artifact you find. They're used in the victory store, or what I call the victory store, which is a store that you can only get to after a successful run of going and finding your artifact and getting out alive. Next up, we'll get to the keys. Keys are pretty simple to understand. They open doors. This main one in the middle opens the game and lets you make a run into the dungeon. These other four, which look a lot like tipped arrows, those open doors to get to deeper levels. In our version of the game, you need a key to go down to level 2 and a key to get back up to level 1. Although our initial opening will just be level 1, levels 2 and 3 will open as soon as we have them prepared. Let's get into artifacts. What is an artifact? An artifact in the lore is something that has been taken from the outside world and hidden in the dungeon, and you're using your compass to go and find it and bring it back. Here is an example of an artifact, the automatic lag generator. It is worth 13 embers, so finding it and bringing it back will give you 13 embers to use in the victory store. In addition, you will be given, if you succeed, an artifact, which is a fake version of the artifact, to collect and keep as your own. You don't have to keep them. If you don't want them, just give them back and I'll recycle them into the dungeon. But they're fun to have. Now let's talk about things you can purchase with your crowns and embers. The crowns can buy a number of different items. I've given a few examples here in the shulker we're looking at, which you can take into the game with you, and they may help you get further. Each week, the store that you can get to here will feature a different item, or you can buy the mystery item. I don't want to get too deep into the details on those right now, but I'll keep adding to the list of useful things. Now the big one. Both embers and crowns have the potential to buy you cards that you can add to your deck. The cards have different effects on them, which will be used throughout your dungeon run. A new card is pulled from your deck about every 30 seconds and will give you a good effect until you run out. Your starter deck has 3 cards, and you'll build up from that. Now let's take a look at one of those, and I'll point out the different parts of the card so you'll know what it means. First up is the name of the card. Um, to the right of that, you'll find a rarity symbol. In Tango's version, he was using rarity to make things available or not available. I opted out of that idea. This just shows the relative strength of the card that you can use to help you decide what looks good. Then, under the name of the card, you'll find these little symbols. Those help give you a visual indication of what the card does. So, without having to read a bunch of text, you can see, oh, this card gives you a bunch of embers, or this card blocks a lot of clank. Then under the fold, under the decked out image, you'll see the actual text that describes exactly what the card does. And of course, if you ever have any questions, I'm there to help you understand it. At the bottom left of the card in blue, you will see the cost of the card in embers. This is how many embers it will take to purchase one of these cards in the Victory store. Uh, And in the bottom right, in white, you'll see the maximum number of these cards that you can place in your deck that will be used during a run. Finally, if you'll look at the moment of clarity that we have in this deck, some cards will say ethereal. These are powerful one-time use cards that you can purchase in the store in decked out that will go away as soon as they're used. Cards may affect how much treasure, embers, or keys drop, or maybe turn on beacon effects during your run, or it might affect the dungeon itself. There are two major things designed to make your run more difficult, which you can improve using cards. First up is clank. Clank is the term for the amount of noise you're making in the dungeon. The longer you're in there, the more clank you generate. Clank block will help reduce that noise. So will sneaking, but the more you sneak, the slower you move. And next up is hazard. Hazard is the term for the way the dungeon turns off avenues of escape, throws up walls, potentially forcing you to traverse a more difficult path. Hazard block may just keep that path you wanted to take open long enough to get out. Um, and one other thing that will stop you from getting out are beasts. You may find a couple of Ravagers in the dungeon. They're not tamed, so don't pet them. You'll want to run away and keep hidden from them. Um, there are a number of other beasts you'll find in the dungeon, but the main thing I want to stress with the beasts is please don't try and fight them. For one, you will lose and die, so it's a bad strategy. But another is I would prefer not to have to come heal or replace them too often, so please help me keep them healthy. Okay, so one thing you'll need to know here is how to purchase an item. Let's say you like my pretty face here, and you decide you want me to run a dungeon with you. So you'll have to get 8 crowns. Only 8 crowns? Okay. Maybe I'll be doing a lot of dungeon runs. Anyway, you want to get 8 crowns and throw them in this shulker right below my face. Um, you can only purchase anything with the light on, and once it's purchased, the store will not sell it until it's reset. It resets on a random timer, or you can use 2 more crowns to reset it manually. In addition, there are some of the ethereal cards available right here. Let's go into the dungeon. Here's an example of the starter deck plus a moment of clarity. Um, I've chosen the rank 1 cow that Brun would also have. Um, Brun says it's the best. Uh, and that's the faction we're representing for this run. Hey, Brun, would you pick that up for me? Thanks. What you need on you when you go into the dungeon is your deck box with all the cards you want inside of it, including your faction rank. You'll also want a key to the dungeon and any other decked out specific items you've purchased. You'll have a space to stash your armor and everything else you have on you uh, inside the game before the game starts, but you really don't need to bring those in anyway, so I'm just going to leave them outside. So if this light is lit, that means the game is available. Let's go in. Okay, so you put your key in, go through the door. In here, the first thing you want to do is set your spawn. Make sure it's set. Also, put anything you forgot to leave outside in this box. The only thing you'll want to have right now is your deck. You want to press this button here to start the game. If you press this button on this side, you will end the game. Don't do that until you're done. Let's go. In this room, you're selecting your difficulty. To start the game, we only have 2 difficulties available. As more levels become available, these will open up. I suggest you start with easy and move up as you get more familiar with the dungeon. To select your difficulty, you take your box and you place it against the light that's there. Then you wait for this door to open. You should be completely naked and have nothing on you. You'll see that a compass has dropped for me. This is where I want to go to find my artifact. This sign reminds you, you should be naked with a compass and decked out items only. To start the game and go in, you want to press this button. Once in the dungeon, you'll want to get your bearings and head towards your artifact spot. For me, my artifact is pointing towards ice, so let's go there. Okay, so here's where the compass is going to point to where our artifact is. Once you find the needle going back and forth, you'll be able to throw it at your feet and get your artifact. Okay, so here's the artifact we got. Snail goo. It's worth 16 embers. Woohoo! Now what we want to do is get any treasure that's dropped and get out alive. Um, Once you have your artifact, my suggestion is to put it in your inventory so that you don't accidentally place or use any of the items. Unlike Tango's version, we are using actual items, not just iron nuggets. So placing them deep inside your inventory will help keep that from being a problem. Here we see an ember that's dropped in my run. I'm going to go ahead and grab that so I can add to my pile. All right, I've made it back to the exit safely with my artifact and everything I want, so let's go up and leave. Okay, now that we're at the exit uh, with our artifact, what we want to do is put that and only that in this hole. If you put anything else in there, it will break the game, so please don't do that. Now we're going to wait for our reward. All right. Wow, that took a lot longer than I thought. All right, so now I have all the embers I got from my artifact, and I can take them to the store. By the way, if you end up here without your artifact, what you'll need to do is jump down this hole right here, and it'll help you out. Okay, it also did not open the damn door. Hey, Brian, help me out. Thank you. bugs. Okay, in here, you can purchase the cards or items that you want. I have 17 embers on me, 16 from my artifact, and one that I happened to find along the way. So that means I can get anything available to me up to this point right here. So I want to look at these cards and decide what looks interesting. I kind of want to stay in the dungeon longer, so I'm going to pick this Tread Lightly. I'm going to put 16 frost embers in there, and that's going to be available to me as soon as I leave the dungeon. Let's see. All right, now that we're done in the store, we're at the Winner's Walk of Fame. In these barrels, you'll find some signs and materials you can use to write anything you want, place notes to your fellow players on the walls, and ultimately come down here and press the exit button. Hey, look at that. We're back in this room. Um, and now we are done with the game, so we can press this button. Let's go through. And we're going to get our stuff. You'll notice in this box right now are some of the faction rep gems that I've earned during my run, uh, as well as the card that I purchased and a copy of the artifact that I found, um, and some sweet berries, but we don't need those. I didn't add a filter for sweet berries. I don't think I need to. One thing you want to do is not leave until your deck is back. It may take a little bit of time, but it's coming. While you're waiting, you might as well return any armor, sweet berries, or just things that you're not going to use in this chest here. I'll go get it occasionally and recycle it back into the game. Oh, look, here's my deck box with all my cards. So it looks like I'm ready to go. Let's press this button and leave. Once you're out of the game, you're going to want to set your spawn again. You can set it anywhere else afterwards. This is just here so that you don't end up dying outside the game and coming back to that spawn room. So set your spawn and then tell the game you're ready to leave. That's pretty much it. Okay, so one thing I wanted to point out while we're in the dungeon is you will also find these faction capture points. Remember, I'm a cow right now, so I don't want this to be lit to pig. I'm going to go and change it to the cows. Boom. That's all there is to it. That's going to help your faction be stronger. All right, let's head out.